Here it is. Happy New Year. It's my first video of the new year 2025. Project 2025. I don't know what that is. I was going to call my YouTube channel that, but now it's got some negative connotations, if you know what I'm saying. 3 years ago, I was thinking of starting a YouTube channel. Now here I am. I'm old, I'm haggard, I'm handsome, and I'm rich. Well, 2 out of those 4 things are true. I'm going to let you figure out which 2. Not too sure myself, if I'm being honest. You see, if I may get philosophical for a moment, all those things are relative. I'm relatively old if you're a damn baby. Relatively haggard if, I've been around the block a few times, man. All right. I'm handsome. Yeah, sure. Definitely one of the 4 things. That's true. No arguing. Am I rich compared to other Americans? Nah, dude. But am I rich compared to the other 8.3 billion people in the world? Probably, I have a dishwasher, so I'm doing pretty all right. But the real idea here in 2025 is to struggle. You keep going. You try to make something of your life. You fall down. You fail. You eat an entire bag of Cheetos, start crying. But you get back up, dude. Get back to the gym. And while I'm here, drawing breath, let's talk about some cards, brother. Let's talk about 5 sleeper commanders, New Year's style. But first, hit that bell, dude. There it is. That's a sweet sound of eternal life. Yeah, probably not all that, but at least you'll get my videos. Better Commander is untainted by corporate dark money, no advertisers, no shady billionaires, and that's thanks to the patrons and the members. These guys are out there keeping us independent, and by us, I mean me. Let's start off with Kaheera the Orphanguard, 1 and 2 hybrid green-white. For a legendary creature cat beast, it's a 3/2 for 3 mana, has vigilance, also has companion. But each creature in your starting deck is a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast card. Each other creature you control that's a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. Aw man, Kaheera, this card looks so dope, dude. If you kindly turn a critical eye to the art here, you can see this is a big papa. He's taking care of the orphans out there. That's a beautiful thing, man. You're never too old to be an orphan. If you're a 50-year-old dude, I'll adopt you right now. Believe it or not, there are 170 elementals, only 6 nightmares, 211 cats, 269 beasts, and 100 dinosaurs to choose from in these colors. Great colors for life gain, +1/+1 counter synergies, and landfall. So you could build into any one of these archetypes or all these creature types. Classic tribal good stuff. Cats kind of have better commanders. So do dinos. That's better commander, dude. Beasts is a pretty untapped archetype. We recently got Slinza, and that's a pretty nice beast payoff and enabler, but not in this deck. Top cards in these colors are landfall payoffs. Of course, you have Avenger of Zendikar, has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each plant creature you control. Rampaging Balos also has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. We also have Ancient Green Warden, which is about $5 and change right now, which is not bad for this card. Has reach, you may play lands from your graveyard, and if a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Look at this guy, the Wayward Swordtooth, 2 and a green, creature dinosaur, it's 5/5 with Ascend. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Can't attack or block unless you have the city's blessing. This fella can't stop developing that real estate, brother. That used to be the way that people could build wealth, but not anymore. This market's cooked, buddy. Kaheera also plays nice with tokens that are of the mentioned types, so payoffs like this guy are great. Felidar Retreat, landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you can create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or you can put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. Anyways, man, great legend that gets no respect. Alright, coming up next is Adeliz the Cinder Wind. 1 blue and a red. Legendary creature, human wizard. It's a 2/2 with flying and haste. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizards you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. The passionate intensity of the Gitu, tempered by the cool insight of Tolarian training. That's aggro wizards. Never thought I'd see the day. This little spell slinger has a sweet hat, and that's basically all I care about here, man. So listen, spell slinger can be tough to wrap your head around, but getting those cast triggers for a big turn with big flying wizards can be pretty fun. Of course, if you have Magecraft payoffs like Archmage Emeritus, you're gonna be all set, man. This guy's old, but he keeps it tight, dude. It's probably through yoga, but he also keeps your hand full. And this is yet another great deck for Harmonic Prodigy. If an ability of a shaman or another wizard you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Adeliz's ability is indeed a triggered ability. Same thing with Veyran, Voice of Duality. It's an Efreet wizard 2/2 with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, this thing gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If you casting or copying an instant or sorcery spell causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. This card climbed up there, man, was pretty cheap for a while, but is also a very formidable commander in her own right. Gorgeous art on this card, man. Fire and ice, brother. And of course, you have one of my all-time favorites out there, the Docent of Perfection, 3 blue. Creature Insect Hordes, 5/4 as flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 blue human wizard creature token. Then if you control 3 or more wizards, transform this thing. Transforms into this guy, the final iteration. Eldrazi Insect has flying. It's a 6/5. Wizards you control get +2/+1 and have flying. Uh-oh, here we go. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, make a little 1/1 blue human wizard creature token that turn into 3/2s with flying. Oh my gosh, dude. This guy's not a wizard himself. You know, it's that weirdo in the background. But this card is so diesel, man. People sleep on this, but I've had it do so much work in a deck where you're out there casting those instants and sorceries. This deck would have way more wizards to feed off of too, and your army is suddenly pretty huge. Adeliz is a slept-on commander for sure, great for a budget spellslinger festival out there. Now this may not be a sleeper. Older players, the old heads of the commander community may remember this fella, Jarad, Golgari, Lich Lord. This guy's black, green, legendary creature, zombie elf, it's a 2/2. This guy gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. 1 black and a green, sack another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Sack a swamp and a forest, return this guy from your graveyard to your hand. This guy is kind of what I think of when I picture a Golgari commander, right? You have self-mill, you have big creatures, you have big plays, you have reanimator. There are tons of cards to bring back the sacrificed creatures in these colors. You can one-shot opponents with monsters like this guy, the Lord of Extinction. 3 black and a green, elemental. This guy's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in all graveyards. That's everything. That's lands, that's instants and sorceries, enchantments, all that stuff, dude. The forlorn cries of the dead combined to make it laugh. Such a beautiful card, man. Let the artist go wild out there. Has a great sense of scale. Looks like a big monster. This guy looks like he'd contribute to an extinction for sure, brother. And you know, if your commander gets murked too many times out there, include some redundancies like Essence Harvest. I love this card. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Target player loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. You can keep your hand full with greater good out there. 6 mana for an 18/6 out of March of the Machine, Yargle, and Multani. These guys are just in love, and it's beautiful, man. Alright, they've combined into one entity. If they can get married, there's hope for the rest of us, alright? Look at Yargle out there. Anyways, this guy's a great commander if you've never seen it. Kind of builds itself, but it's very Golgari. There's lots of new cards to feed the graveyard in these colors, man. Ripples of Undeath. 1 and a black for an enchantment at the beginning of your first main phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those cards into your hand. This card is getting a little pricey, and I kind of knew it would because it's almost a Sylvan library for graveyard decks. You get to see more cards, pick and choose, feed your graveyard. It's got weird art too, kind of reinforcing the 3 cards theme with the 3 little eyes in there. All in all, man, Jarad is a classic commander that the young ones need to respect. Ripples and nipples, that's what we always say here at Better Commander, and likewise with this big fella, Surrak Dragonclaw. This guy's 2 green, blue and a red, legendary creature, human warrior. It's a 6/6 with flash. This guy can't be countered. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Other creatures you control have trample. Both his rank and his scars were earned in single combat against a cave bear. This guy's a big 6/6. He's flashing out there. He's giving all your creatures trample except for him. That evasion is pretty great, man. From there, it's just a straight creature-based deck that can afford to run some slappers. Like this guy, Quartzwood Crasher. 2 red, and a green for a creature dinosaur beast. It's a 6/6 with trample. So that's 5 mana for a 6/6 with trample. Not bad. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control with trample deal combat damage to a player, create an XX green dinosaur beast creature token with trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player. Underappreciated dino. This is an army in a can in this type of deck. You also have another trample payoff out here, the Proud Wild Bonder. This guy's 2 and 2 hybrid red-green for 4 mana. Human Warrior. It's a 4/3 with trample. Not bad. Creatures you control with trample you may have this creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. Now this guy looks like he's fun at parties until his little beast fella bites somebody in the nuts, man. Too bad it's not a pit bull. Big creatures, man. It's kind of its own archetype. It has a lot of support, has garnered more and more support over the past few years, and is great in Commander. But we have cards like this, Gorklaw, Terror of Calcisma. It's a tongue twister, dude. It took me 3 tries to say that. 3 and a green, legendary creature Bear. It's a 4/3. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. When this guy attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1, gains trample until end of turn. You don't want to know how she got that name, but I kinda do, brother. So originally this Lady Bear and Surrak are enemies, right? He goes in there, they start fighting. He somehow seduces her. That's the kind of guy Surrak is, alright? They fell in love, they had many babies out there, and I am actually one of those babies. Did you see that twist coming? No, you didn't. This card is a slapper all on its own. It's a M. Night Shyamalan twist out there, but we also have them together in Surrak and Gorklaw, married couple, 4 green, legendary creature, human bear. It's a 6/5. Has trample. Other creatures you control have trample. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on it, gains haste until end of turn. Fantastic card. But listen, let's get back to the big creature payoffs like Thrix, the Sudden Storm. 3 blue, legendary creature, elemental giant. It's a 4/5, has flash and flying. Spells you cast with mana value 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. Come on, man. Now this is a pretty awesome card and a pretty nice payoff for big creatures. Outcaster Trailblazer, 2 and a green. Creature human druid, it's a 4/2. When this guy enters, add 1 mana of any color, and whenever another creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. Has plot for 2 and a green. It's a relatively new card. I think it's a little slept on. This echoes that big creature payoff of cards like Garruk's Uprising, Temur Ascendancy. Temur Ascendancy is a fantastic enchantment. Creatures you control have haste, and whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, you may draw a card. Phenomenal. Creatures, big hairy dude running them all. I love that, brother. Now let's turn this around from a slapper on the battlefield to a real slapper in the kitchen, probably the bedroom too. Just saying, Ellyn Harbreeze, Busybody. Let's get that busybody working. 3 and a white, legendary creature, human peasant. It's a 2/4. It's tapped. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. Put one of those cards in your hand, the rest on the bottom in a random order. Choose a background. I've always had a soft spot for this card, right? Just seems like fun to slap around a damn go hard commander deck, slap around a Traxa or something with a gossipy lady who apparently bakes bread, I guess. I don't know the lore. Cool thing about this card is that it doesn't care what kind of tokens you make. You can lean into sacrifice outlets, go all in on creature tokens. You can go into treasures. There are 30 backgrounds to choose from, so it's kind of wide open. Now green and white are great for token creation. Cloakwood Hermit is 2 and a green for a legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own have at the beginning of your end step, if a creature card was put in your graveyard from anywhere this turn, create 2 tapped 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. I believe you get priority after this resolves and can activate Ellyn, though I'm not 1000% sure on this, man. I tried to research it, dude, but I gotta be honest with you, man. The rules of Commander and Magic in general are just so complicated. So I think you get priority after this. I don't know. You go to the end step, this triggers, resolve it. If no one has anything to say, then you get priority first in your end step. I don't know, man. I'm no judge. Maybe you guys can clarify in the comments. I do know that everyone gets priority in the end step to do instant speed stuff. Anyways, brother, I love you guys. I love you guys so much, man. I hope you've had a good year, and I hope you have a good year coming up. Remember, no matter how bad you have it, there are people facing down worse things out there. That's important to have that perspective, man. Be kind to each other. You never know what another man is going through. Start with kindness, then move on to violence, brother. I'm just kidding, dude. Nicky G, Better Commander, signing off.